Good morning. My name is Tom. I come to you from the Rustic log cabin in Northern Maine. Welcome to my cabin this morning. 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm still putting the coffee to me. Well, good evening. Welcome to my cabin. Great state of Maine. Welcome to the great state of Maine. This evening, I need to rebuild a water pump. If you're interested in rebuilding water pumps for an off-grid cabin, that's what we've got to do tonight. But first of all, we got to take care of some housekeeping. Some housekeeping. We always like that word, don't we? I went down this morning and I had coffee. I could have had breakfast. And the guy's wife said he should make me some pancakes to go with my coffee. You know, that would have been the nice thing to do. So I'm kind of on his wife's side of the camp on this one, but she wasn't there to make sure he made me pancakes. So what's this got to do with this? Well, when I was having coffee with him, he told me to make sure on this video that well, you didn't say video, so I'm kind of adding this part in myself. But he said you make sure to let Edmund know that he gave me some pies. So Edmund, I got a feeling maybe your name, oh no, your name wasn't on these pies. Ron, he's got a cabin not too far from here. Good evening, Ron. I've got the rest of them in the cooler. I've got a couple out for supper here tonight. And they are meat pies. And he wanted me to make sure that he let Edmund know that I had a bunch of meat pies up here. Him and his wife make these. Now, I can't remember this. He gave me 3 kinds. He gave me 3 kinds, Edmund. He gave me pulled pork pies, and he gave me chicken pies, and he labels them with a letter on the top. This is a P and a T. Now, he told me what this pie was, but I've been sitting here for an hour trying to remember what that T stood for. I can't. It's some kind of French pie, and everybody has it. So anyways, I know the P is for pork, and then I've got some that have a C on them for chicken. So, Edmund, I don't know what to say, buddy, but I'm having these ones with the P on them tonight, and then who knows? Maybe later on I'll have a snack. It's a little hand pie that his wife and him make in the little muffin tins. So anyways, hey, let's get on to putting this pump together. I want to go over this because it's a pretty simple process, and you know, my first pump, when it wore out, I went to Tractor Supply and I bought another pump. Here's the base of it, if you know what they are. This goes on, there's a piece on the counter that's the bottom, and this just bolts onto it. So it's really simple to maintain. But I was in a hurry the first time. The first pump in here lasted me about 3 years, and I was up here at that time building cabins, so I really didn't have that much time to play with it. So one of my trips by Harbor Freight, I snagged another one and brought it up here. And then that's a red one, that's sitting on a shelf at home waiting to be rebuilt. But anyways, when I was here a month ago back in July, what happens on them, this is a flipper that goes down in the bottom. This is what's supposed to be on the bottom of this. All this is a weight. And if you know anything about water and wells, it's called a foot valve. Down in the bottom of the well is usually a foot valve. Well, this is right at the base of this pump. So when you're drawing water, it opens up, and when you stop drawing water, it closes. And this weight that's on top of it is the weight that just kind of seals it up. And most of the time, I won't lose my prime. On a well like this, if you want to put one of these in your cabin, it's really simple to do, really easy to do. I run a water line from this cabin, from my sink, right out to the well. And you don't put a foot valve on the bottom of the well. Just a straight piece of pipe, nothing on the end of it at all, except for the pipe is sticking down in the water. And the reason that you do that is come wintertime, it's really easy to winterize. You take the top off this well, you let a little air in by this thing, and your water line drains all the way back in the well. So I can pump water here 12 months a year, which is great in the wintertime when it's 20 below zero and I can get water right from the well. I think I forgot to say, hey, you know what to do, get yourself a cup of coffee. So at 20 below zero, I can stand by the wood stove in there and pump all the water that I need. Now, the biggest reason I'm doing it, one is I like sharing it with you guys, but I'm sharing this video is really for my grandsons and for my daughter and my son-in-law. Because eventually they're going to need to know how to rebuild this water pump. So here you go, boys. Stephanie, Matt, very simple to do. Very easy to do, and that's about how complicated it gets, so. Alright, so let's get the coffee out of the way. Now, you can buy these pumps, you can buy another one, you can order them online, or you can go to Home Depot, Lowe's, all of them carried it, and they sell this little rebuild kit. There's nothing in it, and I think it should have one more piece. But we'll get into that anyways. It comes with plastic bags and zippers. Sometimes they don't want to work. Yeah. This right here is the cup that goes over here. So you end up pulling out these two nuts. Well, actually, no. Yep, this right here. You'll turn this off, hammer and the chisel, and then that'll come right off. There's another foot valve here that allows the water to come through, and then out your spout. So that goes on there. I'm not going to replace that one right now because this one usually isn't the problem. Every time I've had one of these go, it was this piece right here. And I had another pump. There was Brian up here. Hello, Brian. When that pump let go, Brian happened to be at his camp, and he's about, 10 miles from here. And he just happened to have he tried to put in a driven well, and so he happened to have one of these pumps. What I was started to say, I guess that's a washer. I might need to go down to the shop. There's a nut and a bolt here. Okay, I don't think I got a screwdriver up here. I didn't realize that was a nut and a washer. What I started to say was, this comes with a little 1/4-inch bolt, and it was pretty, and it's still pretty rusty. So in that kit, it's probably not even it's probably smaller than a 1/4 inch. But anyways, in that kit, I think it ought to have this right here, ought to have this, and it ought to have this little nut right here, this little nut and bolt. So I'm going to have to go down to the shop. Yeah, I'm going to have to go down to the shop and get that out. And I'll be right back. You can't have a cabin without some kind of a shop. So, anyways, going to need a screwdriver. All right, so we're here. We're going to rebuild this water pump. Now, this water pump comes with 3 pieces. This is the part that fails. This part goes on the pump right here. I've never had that part fail. I've had this part fail. When this thing failed, I was at the cabin, and Brian, his cabin's about 10 miles from here, and he just so happened he had an old pump under the cabin. He tried to, when he built his cabin, he was going to put in a pipe well, and then found out it was too bony and stuff, so he didn't need his pump, so he delivered it. We had coffee. We had a great time. That was great. Thank you very much, Brian. So what I'm doing now, Brian, is I bought 2 kits. I'm going to rebuild my pump, And then I'm going to rebuild your pump. And then I will have 2 pumps on hand. So when it breaks down next time, all I'll have to do is unbolt the top and lay in either your whole top or lay in just the bottom piece. Now this thing came with 2 parts. I think it ought to come with 3 parts. I think it ought to come with this right here. I guess there's another washer in there. You know, that's what happens when you're down in a shop and you can't, and with no light on. I guess I should have brought. Yeah, we'll get it. Good. So anyways, this has 2 washers, and then it has, looks like about a 3/16 bolt, maybe a 1/4 inch. I don't know, it's pretty small. I think it ought to come with a new bolt. A new bolt, a new nut, and 2 new washers. I think that ought to be in the kit. The bolt, you can see, sits down in there. It's not going to spin at all, but you could easily get it out for replacing it. So I really think that it ought to come with a kit. So now how this works in this thing, we're going to put the flat washer in first, I guess. Then you lay in your gasket. Lay in your other flat washer, which would be really nice right now if those were brand new. Because you can already tell that thing doesn't really want to turn on this. Not turning on there at all, come to think of it. Let's just clean up these washers a little bit, I guess. Well, this one's dimpled, so that's going to be a top. Look at that washer broke. Well, maybe that was just gasket. Yeah, that was just a gasket. Okay, so only 1 washer. Turns out that was only gasket. You want that ear to the back like that? Lay on your flat washer. And put your nut back on, and now there's all kinds of room for it. Just kind of hold it in place. Now what I did with this nut is last night, you know, I didn't get to playing with this until about 8 o'clock last night, 9 o'clock. So what I did with it, I took it down in the shop, I put it in the vise, and I put some WD-40 on it, just so it could soak overnight. I probably have got one of these. I probably got one here in the cabin in my junk box, but I really didn't want to find out. So there's the new gaskets installed, and now it goes inside. Like I said, the piece is in there on the counter already, but where it sets is right under here. And if you can see, it just bolts in. So I will go in. It's dark in there, so it ain't very good for taking pictures. But this is all you needed to really know. And now it's just a matter of... and then I can pump water tonight. I've been using the old-fashioned way. I've been using a bucket and a rope and lifting off the top of the well. So that works too. But this right here is a whole lot more convenient. So anyways. Okay, there's a flipper. This is the base that's on my well. That goes on top of there like that. How you like my silverware? They all got lids, make them mouse proof when I'm not here. So anyways, that goes on there like that. Now in the winter time, I have a heavy file that I put in here that holds that thing open. Well, actually, I push down on it, and that opens up that flipper and lets the water out. So, kids, Stephanie, Caleb, Joshua, make sure to lift that up in the wintertime. Let the water out. If you don't, you won't be a happy camper. I'm just going to make sure that that's centered. I'm just going to make sure that this is centered on here. So, you know, your gasket is all the way around, touching where it's supposed to touch. And that's how complicated it is. That's what makes this so nice. Makes this awful nice for a cabin like this. And all it is 2 bolts. I'm just making sure that thing is centered under there. Yeah. I might have water. This cabin is 100% off the grid. I have a generator. I have, guess I need some space. I have a generator, and I have solar system. Simple solar system, but it works. Cast iron. Probably should have brought them down even. Whenever you're dealing with cast, you want to bring stuff down even. Otherwise than that, you could break it very easily. Okay. Next. Next is put the pump in. Now, let's see. There's a nut right here on the back. Now what I do, because I have to reach the bucket, this is just a water bottle. I change it out a couple times a year. If you don't put something on here to stretch it out, it misses the sink and it will never hit your bucket. Well, let's see if she works. We have water. Smooth. I'm trying to burp it. Hear the burp? Pump's easier. Well, there you go. The water pump is fixed. So there. Thank you guys for helping me out with that pump. You guys are a heck of a lot of work. Having coffee, fixing pumps. I was thinking earlier when I was going to set up to do this video. And I was thinking... there is so much to do with a cabin, you know, and it's odd stuff, you know, stuff that you don't deal with in your everyday life. A cabin like this one anyways, and I would imagine, you guys can leave it in the comments, but I would imagine even a cabin that's hooked up to power. This is an off-grid cabin. There's always something that crops up. So what I was thinking while I was putting this video together, I can't imagine having a cabin without some kind of a workshop. And in my cabin dreaming, you know, as a 20-year-old man, I never really thought about a cabin workshop as part of the cabin dream. Well, I can tell you I use the cabin workshop just as much as I use the cabin. There's not a trip that I come to this cabin that there isn't something that I need to do. Well, you know, I do have a lawnmower up here. I got more grass up here than I got at home. But there's, you know, I got outboards. I've got outboards. I got the lawnmower. You know, there's always, I got this well pump to work on. If that's not, sometimes you got to play with a generator. There's just always something to play with. You got the solar system. Once in a while, I gotta dance around that a little bit, and it's just always something. And over the years, we've been here, be 13 years now. And over the years, it's just been one project after another that's gone through that workshop. Now, there's nothing in there major for tools, but there's just enough. Most of them come from lawn sales. Most of them come from anywhere I could pick up a wrench somewhere. There is not a match set of anything in there as far as when it comes to, but they're there. You know, they have big ones, small ones. You know, the wrenches are there. You know, I do have a bunch of screwdrivers and stuff like that. You know, the camp stuff, and hammers and nails and screws, and you know, it's kind of like a small hardware store all by itself for a lot of projects. So I think in setting up a cabin, whether it be for working on this pump or other things, gathering up that stuff, which probably should be part of your dream as well. Because I never really gave it any thought. Now we're on the boat project, building a boat. Like I said, always something going on. Right now, I was going to paint that boat this trip, but it's done nothing but rain. Thunderstorms. I got here, thunderstorm, and this is the first sun. The sun came out this afternoon. This is pretty close to the first sun that I've seen in about 8 days. So I got here and it's just been rain, which is all right. I like rain. Hey, I have no idea how long this is getting, but hey, you guys have a great evening, and I'll see you next week.